Let's talk about Rogers' diffusion of innovation theory with a particular focus on the perceived attributes model. In the pieces of Rogers' model that we're looking at, we're thinking about how an innovation gets adopted, and particularly the rate at which it gets adopted. And he has 5 pieces to that, and we're just going to focus on the first one, but I wanted to show you that there's more to it than that, and we're really indirectly getting at the other ones with some of the other models we're looking at. So we're going to spend time with the perceived attributes model, but he also looks at the type of innovation decision, so who's making the decision and is it mandatory, the various communication channels to diffuse the innovation, the nature of the social system, so that's the culture of innovation in a way that we've talked about already, and then the extent of change agents' promotion efforts, so in some ways that's you, the change agent, what do you do to make it happen? And so we're going to focus now on perceived attributes. Rogers speaks about 5 perceived attributes, and the word perceived is very important here. These are attributes of the innovation as seen by the person thinking about adopting it. So imagine the teachers in your school and what they think about the innovation. Do they think that it has relative advantage? Do they think that it is compatible with what they already do? Do they think it is too complex, or is it simple? Do they think that they can try it out? And do they think that they can observe results? So these are not objective facts that it has relative advantage. It's how do they perceive it, and that's what's important. In this case, perception is reality. And so you'll want to examine these perceptions in the people you're trying to get to adopt this innovation. So the first one is relative advantage, and that's pretty straightforward. Is it better than what you've got already? And if they see it as being better than what you've got already, then that's great, and they're more likely to adopt it. If they don't see it as being better than what you've got already, then they're less likely to adopt it. Compatibility is the second perceived attribute. How compatible do they perceive this to be with what they do already? Now, this isn't always a good thing, but it does make it easier to adopt, because sometimes we're trying to change the way people do things, and so you've got to work with that, but it's got to fit in some way with what they already are doing and already want to do for it to be compatible and to make it easier for them to adopt it. The third is complexity or simplicity. How complex or simple do they perceive this innovation to be? Again, you might be the tech expert. You might say, oh, this is really easy, but it's what they perceive. Do they perceive this to be complex or simple? And if they think it's complex, then they're less likely to adopt it. Then it's trialability. Can they try it out? Do they have opportunities to try it out? Is it something that they can see in action, or can they test it out? Is it something they can just go online and play with for a little bit and see how it works? Or is it something that, you've got to adopt it or you don't adopt it, and they can't really try it out? Then if they can't try it out, they're less likely to want to adopt it. Finally is observability. And this is, can you see the results? Sometimes there's an innovation where you just can't see it right away. It takes a long time, or they're not easily seeable. But other innovations, you see them right away. Imagine if you were trying to lose weight, and an innovation that you start seeing results, that you start losing weight, maybe it's a diet or an exercise program or whatever. If you see that right away, you're more likely to adopt it. So if you can see the results, you're more likely to adopt it and keep going with it. But if you can't see the results, then you might be less likely to adopt it. The last point that I want to make is that understanding where your potential adopters stand with this innovation is an important roadmap for you. It's not that, oh, they don't see the advantage, we might as well throw it out and not even try, or now they can't observe results, so we might as well not try. That's not the case. Think of this as a roadmap for you. So if they see a relative advantage, that's great. If they don't, then you've got your work cut out for you to figure out how to get them to see that, how to show them that this is better than what they're doing already. If they don't see it as compatible with their own situation, you either have to work on ways to make it compatible, ways to help them see that it's compatible, or convince them that compatibility isn't important, that changing things might be a good idea. If they think it's too complex, can you simplify it? Can you find ways to quick start guides or whatever to make it simpler for them? A complex innovation might be complex, and that might be okay, but you still might want to use it. You just have to figure out how you can help the users through that complexity, and knowing that they see it as complex is powerful information for you. For trialability, if they can't try it out, maybe there are ways you can help them to try it out, or if that's impossible, then maybe you can just show them some examples of ways that it's been used, even if they can't try it out themselves. And finally, for observability, sometimes the results are hidden. Sometimes they take a long time. So maybe you'll be able to collect data. Maybe you'll be able to show them data from various sources. They can't try it out for a long time and observe results and then see that it's working. So maybe you have some long-term studies that you know about or something else, but some way to make it explicit, or you can just point out to them what to look for so that they can see the results. So again, the power of this model is that it's a roadmap for you. If you understand how people perceive your innovation, then you're more likely to be able to get them to overcome any perceptions that are problematic.